Ashish Khetan, Maxwell Pereira, GVL Narasimhan, thanks for staying on. We say good evening to R Kakkar, former police commissioner, Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate, and Tom Vadakkan of the Congress party joining us this evening. My first question is to Sanjay Hegde. Do you welcome this move, or are you thinking, have they thought about it? क्या कर रहे हैं दिल्ली के साथ? Delhi is not going to accept this.
Well, I think I know Delhi better, in as much as Delhi does welcome things which ultimately do good. I am thinking of when the time was that seat belts were not compulsory. Delhi is one of the few cities where I see that seat belts are followed. Then the second point is that Delhi has had this experience with the CNG transformation in buses. I worked on that case. I worked on it for the Delhi government at that point of time, for the Delhi Transport Corporation. These same kind of arguments that no, it's not implementable, we do not have the CNG, we do not have the CNG pumps, the buses will be waiting there forever. Everything was stated to the Supreme Court.
There is a difference between a few thousand buses and 76 lakh cars.
I know that. I know that.
And lives of lakhs of households being affected, Sanjay Hegde. And that too, it's been taken, a decision's been taken without asking them.
Just a minute.
They are not willing.
When the court passes a decision like that, it does not ask every householder. Why do you want courts to step in every time and say, look...
No, the court passed the decision saying bring the pollution levels down. Don't make it a gas chamber. But Tom Vadakkan,
no,
was it not the duty of the Aam Aadmi Party perhaps and also the centre to ask the people of Delhi, how do we bring pollution down? What will you do for your city? Was that question asked?
Well, here's one government which said that they would go into SMS consultation mode with the citizenry of Delhi. What have we done that we suffer this government? 1 million people will be on the street from January 1st because they are not in the, if they are in the odd number or the even number. A decision is, a diktat has been passed by a Muhammad bin Tughlaq, I call him, who has decided that the people of Delhi, I agree, pollution is a huge issue.
Tom Vadakkan,
we need to address it.
That a lot
but
of
this
Muhammad
is no
bin
way.
Tughlaq's policies were eventually proved to be right, even though they were considered wrong for his time. So let's not take that analogy. But so make your stand clear. Is the Congress today completely slamming this decision? Or are you going to say, all right, we'll try and work with you to make this happen because we, those of us who live in Delhi, want better air for ourselves. What's your stand on this policy? Completely denouncing it?
Let me complete your jibe on Muhammad bin Tughlaq. The fact of the matter is decisions may be wise, but out of context and not in time. Not on the timeline. So let me correct you on that part of history. It was not correct on the timeline mentioned.
No, that's exactly what I said. You're not correcting me on it. That is exactly what I said.
We want to fight pollution.
I said they were not right for the time. So you're not making any correction here. That is exactly what I said. But
no, but then that's the context. That's the context in which I'm referring. That's the context.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as the Congress party is concerned, we are absolutely concerned about pollution and steps that need to be taken. But this kind of knee-jerk reaction of having vehicles, what are you going to do for 1 million people on the street? Do you have a public transport in place? You have not bought a single bus in the last 10 months of your 12 months of your existence. What have you done?
Yeah, what happened to those 11,000 buses?
Help in public transport.
Ashish Khetan.
The babus.
Ashish Khetan, what happened to those 11,000 buses? You know, what is the alternative for people? I'm going to just bring up a few points, and we've been getting a lot of feedback on Twitter already. People are talking about what they're going to do. Now, there are issues over buses and metros not functioning in the national capital beyond 12 at night. I, for one, happen to know that even after 11:30, it's difficult. What do people do after that? Because they're not going to get that public transport. What are women going to do? Suppose I need to drive home at 1 in the morning and my car number plate is wrong for that day. What am I going to do? Am I going to wait 6 hours until it's the next morning and then drive home? There are going to be these issues, and these are issues which you cannot ignore because people find ways to circumvent norms. People will find loopholes. Sanjay Hegde, coming back to you on that too. You're talking about knowing Delhi people well, so do I. People will find loopholes, and that's one of the trending topics on Twitter right now.
I've been listening patiently.
Yeah, Ashish.
I've been listening patiently for the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? If you give me 2 minutes to respond without any interruptions, then the whole debate makes sense. Otherwise, I can just keep sitting here and keep listening to everybody.
Go ahead.
Can I respond to some of the points that you have raised?
Yes, Ashish, go ahead. Ashish, go ahead.
Hello.
Ashish, go ahead. I think we just temporarily lost the audio connection. We'll hold those 2 minutes for Ashish Khetan the moment he's back with us, and we're just patching him on the phone again, and we will get that sorted.
All right, while we wait for Ashish's audio line to come through again, Sanjay Hegde, coming back to you on that. You know, if you look at social media right now, there's a lot of people who are actually tweeting ways to get around this ban. Now, not that I endorse it. I think that's abominable, but people are going to try and do it. And one of the issues that we discussed earlier on the Newshour at 9 is that in cities where this has been tried before, people have found ways to circumvent it by buying second-hand, extremely poor condition diesel cars of the opposite number plate so that they can use that on the alternate days. How are we going to avoid situations like that?
Look, these are all questions of administration. And these old cars with the right number plate, if you only enforce your earlier decision that cars above 15 years can't be driven, that would go a long way. Take it from me that people will try to circumvent it. But a sound administration, a strong administration backed with fines as well as financial costs can find a way out. And by the way, just one more minute, one more point. After all, why are we concerned only with car drivers? The majority of Delhi, which coughs along with the car drivers and with all of us, are not car drivers or not car owners. The majority of Delhi still is on public transport. If car owners are forced into public transport and as a consequence public transport usage rises as well as the quality of public transport rises, I think it's a good thing for Delhi.
No, it is a good thing, but the fact is first there needs to be public transport. That's the problem. Your metro is already bursting in the seams.
That's a chicken or egg question.
Buses on the street tomorrow.
That's a chicken or egg question. 15
days from now the situation is not going to change. And GVL Narasimha Rao, the centre has also got to take responsibility for the capital. This is Delhi, the seat of power. And look what it's come to today.
Anand, I think we should not, as Congress has been trying very hard to politicize these debates, and I would advise them, please don't do it. Because no one is blaming them for the kind of situation that we have today, with Congress having been in power for a long time. So let's not get into these facts. Let's move forward, let's look forward. And if you want to implement this, let me tell you, the only way you cannot, using punitive measures, punishments, penalties, is certainly, that can only serve to some extent if you have a few people violating it. What you need to think of are positive measures, ensuring people participation. Let me give you the example of what Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has done in the case of LPG. More than 50 lakh people have surrendered their gas subsidy, LPG subsidy voluntarily. So we have a great example.
But,
so what you need to do is there needs to be a political communication.
That example,
no, let me just complete this. Give me a couple of sentences, please.
And I've already brought up the issue of old diesel vehicles with you, which unfortunately the Transport Ministry has not taken the right decision on. And the other issue is, you know, the other issue is you're talking, what about Swachh Bharat, for example? Has it really gone beyond photo ops? What has Swachh Bharat done for pollution?
I think you've seen what people had to say. Swachh Bharat didn't have big budgets. It was, and Prime Minister from day one had been saying, Swachh Bharat is something that no government can implement.
Yes, we need it.
It's not a government program.
We need it. There is no denying it. We need that Swachh Bharat. It is the right campaign. It is required. But has it actually been implemented on the street? That is the question. Of course, it's the right thing. That is the way we have to go. Let's also get TR Kakkar in on this. TR Kakkar, there's going to be a big question mark over the implementation of this. And while nobody is disputing the fact that the intention is right to curb pollution, is it feasible? Are there enough traffic cops out there? Are they going to be able to implement this ban of odd and even cars on that particular day?
Is that question for me?
That's for Mr. TR Kakkar, if he can hear us.
Mr. Kakkar. No, I don't think. You see, I am trying to take a different. Whatever the Delhi government has decided in their wisdom is absolutely fine. It was required, and we need to reduce the pollution in Delhi. But the question is, how are we going to implement it? I thought they would be able to, with their whatever they have been doing earlier, they will be able to persuade people from bringing out less number of vehicles, and maybe even an odd number is one thing. Look, in Delhi, you have yourself said the Anand Vihar is the most polluted area. Yes. Then you have Punjabi Bagh, you have Rohini, you have Najafgarh, you have all these areas fall on the periphery of the either outer ring road or the ring roads. Let us concentrate area by area, because if you take up the entire thing in one go, you have no resources to implement it. Take for example Anand Vihar. I live next to Anand Vihar, and I can tell you more than probably 1,500 diesel vehicles come from UP. They drive into. Now, can we do something and tell UP that no, your vehicles must have CNG? Don't have these things. Similarly, on the other side, let us go step by step and first correct the areas which are most polluted. Of course, between the Delhi government transport department and the Delhi police, you will need a lot of coordination.
Yes,
and
absolutely. So has this coordination been sought? Or would you first make an announcement and then say, okay, let's coordinate? My question is, how many people in Delhi today, Maxwell Pereira?
Yeah,
sir, I'm going to Mr. Pereira. I'm going to Mr. Pereira with this question.
First, because you are taking a very big decision,
Correct. So, if it was immediate redressal, Maxwell Pereira, shouldn't the government and the centre also acknowledged and said, okay, for the next 60 days, we will not allow any sale, purchase of any four-wheeler or two-wheeler? Let's first cut down the number of vehicles on the road. That's not happened.
Yeah, that
should they have immediately said that if you exchange your vehicle for an electric vehicle, we will subsidize the cost for electric vehicles? Has the centre mooted an initiative like that so far? Has the Delhi government done it? Electric vehicles are more expensive than petrol and diesel today.
This is just another way of.
I don't think so.
Another way of doing, bringing down pollution. There are umpteen ways. It's not only that you can do that, but then coming back to this, now that the Delhi government has given this announcement, the main thing is how best can they measure up to see that the infrastructure in position, like for instance, alternate modes of transport. Does the metro have capacity? Are they bringing in more trains on the same tracks?
Yes.
What about the buses? Are they bringing in more buses or borrowing buses?
Yes.
Bringing in all the private, sort of buses onto the road.
Yeah. So
what kind of infrastructure that is going to come?
Mr. Pereira. So, when the announcement was made today, I just want to interject. Yeah. When the announcement was made today, these issues were addressed. They talked about the fact that there are hundreds of school buses, for example, that are just lying around in school lots post 2 p.m., 3 p.m. and not being utilized. So they did say that we'll try and bring these buses in and add them to the fleet of buses that are plying on the streets of Delhi. But going back to Sanjay Hegde on this, and we are awaiting Ashish Khetan to return to us here. Sanjay Hegde, the issue is, should you not provide the alternatives first and then implement this ban? What's going to happen 1st of Jan onwards? Our metros cannot take any more people. There aren't enough buses. Buses are not plying at 2 in the morning. What are people going to do when this ban is enforced? Provide the solution first and then implement the ban, don't you think?
Sometimes that's a good policy. But if you wait for all solutions to be in place, you are never going to move. That is why sometimes a bold declaration of intent followed by practical steps to bring that intent around into concrete implementation is the way to go.
No,
I think they have given one simple line. Odd numbers can't ply on one day, even numbers can't ply on the other day. That is easy for people to understand, for the policemen or the people on the ground to implement.
No, but aren't you opening doors?
After that comes the question of exemptions, or also to catch the people going to do.
Yeah, TR Kakkar has got a query.
The ground first. You have only 2 agencies to implement. You have only 2 agencies to implement. One is the Delhi police and the other is the few people of the transport department who are very few in number. Now Delhi police, as it is short of personnel, you need at least another 4,000 to 5,000 traffic policemen. First let's prepare the ground and attack areas which are most polluted and
No,
make
sir,
a study
first
as to
let's
why they are
attack this
most
attitude.
polluted.
No, sir,
And
what are the how many
causes and
Delhiites today will consciously say, okay, tomorrow onwards I'll use public transport, or I will convert to a CNG vehicle, I will start carpooling? How many Delhiites will say? Let's start with our polity and central government authorities and also the bureaucracy, including the police service. Sir, how many people will say, I will let go of my convoys? We will start 4 MPs who live down on the same road in Lutyens, Delhi, will go together to Parliament.
I see none.
GVL Narasimhan Rao, how many people will do it? Sir, current government itself, your allies in the NDA are busy buying convoys of 28 and 45 cars because the prestige issue is having more cars. The prestige issue is not giving up a car. I'm not attacking you, sir. I'm just saying this is the basic mentality. Has that mentality been addressed?
No, I'm answering your question. You see, the number of cars or number of security personnel is a part of a security assessment of individual.
Sir, it's also projection. It's also about ego. I'm just saying the average person will say, why should I give up my car? I will look at ways to make sure that I hold on to my car. I'll have 2 number plates. You know,
Anand,
I will bribe. I will try and bribe. I'll try and use some bahana or the other.
You cannot, I'm telling you, a proposal like this, everyone will look for some way of beating around this provision if you do not really educate the public, if you do not create awareness, if you do not really work with the people at the ground level. It's easier in a city state like Delhi. In big states like UP, for instance, implementation would be a difficult job. Nightmare. But in Delhi it is possible. But you have to work with the people.
But then
you have to create awareness.
Therefore, GVL, so the question that Anand asked
then you have to create alternatives.
Would the MPs, would the MLAs, would people in power also be willing to give up some of those privileges? Security is one thing, a security detail is understood. But we do often see convoys that go well beyond security. You know, everybody knows there are convoys of 20, 30 cars and not all of it is security. Are people willing to give that up? Would MPs consider carpooling?
Not willing.
With the security detail intact?
Certainly. I think certainly anything which is not security related, I think needs to be curbed. I certainly would second that proposal.
Imagine you're optimizing resources, even security convoys. If 4 MPs are together in one car, Mr. GVL Narasimhan Rao, and this question is to Tom Vadakkan also. You know, if 4 MPs are sitting in one car, it's a common detail. You reduce the security detail, you reduce the number of cars. Overall, you're also contributing and you're leading by example, sir. I'm saying that attitude change has to percolate from top down. Because Delhi has to see those who love emoluments and entitlements.
Anand, I heard the BJP talk about not politicizing it.
Sir,
I heard the BJP representative saying that Congress is trying to politicize it.
Sir,
but
Sir, allow GVL just 30 seconds and I'll come to you, Mr.
Okay.
Yes, GVL Narasimhan Rao.
No, what was I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Anand. If you can just repeat that.
No, I just said that this attitude change has to come from top down. You cannot have the Aam Aadmi having to give up his car and his entitlement when he sees the Khas Aadmi or the VIPs and the Netas and all of those who are there with the central government or with the state government enjoying these entitlements because it doesn't apply to them. It cannot happen like that in Delhi.
I think there have to be some exceptions, minimal exceptions, but as far as using private cars is concerned, there should not be any, there cannot be any different yardsticks or different rules for different people. But you cannot possibly, in a country like ours, where certain people require security, you cannot really simply take it away because pollution is a concern.
Security apart.
I think that
is for the
mindset change has to happen. I agree. It has to be there across the board.
The rest of society then. Tom Vadakkan, you wanted to make a point. We'll come to you on that now.
Look, Anand, this is going to be a very strange case. If 1 million people are on the road, I think about 500,000 will buy a second car. Now, who is being helped in this? The automobile industry? Not bad for the industry. But the issue is, who is going to monitor? The Delhi Police Commissioner today morning in public domain said he has not been consulted. The LG has not been consulted. Now, to please the Supreme Court, you make a diktat saying that this is going to be implemented. Who are the implementing authorities? The constabulary on the road. I mean, can you imagine a situation where 60-70 vehicles on a traffic jam stopped by the police and is to be checked? How can you control this? There is something very
that's exactly
knee-jerk about this decision. You have not consulted the police.
Tom Vadakkan, that's a concern. But if what you're talking about is also can be an attitudinal change for Delhiites.
This is exactly
my point is that attitudinal change can be driven by the polity.
If you have the
change can be driven by it can be driven by the bureaucracy. It can be driven by those who flaunt their entitlement, saying that we give up. It's a matter of prestige today to give up entitlement. That attitudinal change has to be driven.
For miles together.
Tom, I remember Sheila Dikshit coming to the Supreme Court.
Anand, there are ways and steps to do to control pollution. The Euro emission phase that was set in.
Tom Vadakkan will come back to you. Yes, Sanjay, go ahead.
Persuade them.
Well, I remember
cars on even an odd number.
Mr. Kakkar, just give us a minute, please. Mr. Kakkar, give us a minute. Sanjay Hegde is trying to make a point here. Yes, Sanjay.
I remember Mrs. Sheila Dikshit as Chief Minister of Delhi coming into a crowded courtroom number 1 in the Supreme Court before Justice B.N. Kirpal saying no, we cannot implement. And the Supreme Court at that point was very firm. It said go ahead, this court's orders have to be obeyed. My point to y'all politicians and administrators is, why do you wait for courts to say do it? For once, I am glad that a government has taken a decision. I hope that the government sticks by the decision. Governments have the freedom to take decisions. Governments also have the freedom to take wrong and mistaken decisions. They can be reworked, but for once, please show leadership.
So that's the
Our
point.
lungs are collapsing.
JVL, that's the point that we started with you. So what Sanjay Hegde is essentially saying is at least they're trying something, and isn't trying better than not doing anything.
I think it's better late than never. Certainly, certain measures are required to bring down pollution levels, and if others have better suggestions, that should also be considered. And if required, they should reconsider. So, but there is no question of going back from this assessment that we need to take urgent measures to bring down pollution levels. But I have a concern. I think some other members also, panelists also expressed it. Has the Aam Aadmi government done this only to some kind of to pacify the court? So that tomorrow you can go and file a report before the court.
Let me ask you this.
Somebody else has not implemented.
Unfortunately, we don't have Ashish Khetan with us.
It's quite a
So my question, my grouse with the
record.
BJP and the Congress party tonight is, yes, we are asking questions of the Aam Aadmi party that have you jumped the gun? Have you thought through what you want to do? Are you getting overtly ambitious because this is Delhi? It's not Beijing. It's not London. You want to replicate a model that worked in London, but this is Delhi. But are you getting over ambitious? The question we ask the Aam Aadmi party. But the question we are asking you is, sir, do you want it implemented or not? Are you going to tell the Aam Aadmi party, oh, you're being a fool, you're being foolhardy, you're jumping the gun, or are you going to say, listen, you're becoming ambitious, let me help you achieve this ambition? What's the attitude that you would want to adopt? That's my question to you, sir.
No, we want them to implement these measures, but we want to see that they follow it up. An announcement by a chief secretary is something that does not inspire confidence. This was a measure that the chief minister should have announced. And for everything they do.
No, so what if the chief minister from tomorrow onwards starts traveling by public transport? Isn't that a message enough? Will everybody else then follow?
No, that's not good enough.
Will everybody else then follow, sir?
You know how much of drama they have done in the past. But
I'm not even saying, what I'm saying is that what if the entire 67 MLAs, my question to you, sir, is, and this is to the Congress party also, and this is to Mr. Kakkar and Mr. Maxwell Pereira also. Will everybody in attitude apply if tomorrow onwards you have all the 67 MLAs of the Aam Aadmi party using public transport, not on alternate days, but every day? Will you join them, sir? To lead from the front and tell Delhi, let's do this, we have to do it for our city and our state.
Shall I take that?
Certainly help. It will probably give
Anand,
a cue to people that, look, if they
Yes,
can
Mr.
travel,
Vadakkan,
we
after
can
Mr.
also travel. Wherever it is possible, short distances, etc., could always be by public transport.
Yes, Tom Vadakkan.
Anand, this is very good advisory, but that's pure tokenism. We are talking about 67 MLAs, a chief minister. Considering the pollution level of the city, these are all very
But it's a message to the people of Delhi, sir.
that we are talking about.
It's a message of people
I
of Delhi.
think there are issues. No, message to the people,
Also,
but no,
Tom Vadakkan,
messaging is not enough.
But Tom
The
Vadakkan,
messenger must
so
also
what is
communicate.
enough? What is
Let
enough?
me complete this,
How
Tina.
old is
Let me
the Aam
complete
Aadmi
this.
Party government in Delhi? What
No,
did the Congress government
I'll tell
in Delhi
you what.
do all these years? Is air pollution in Delhi
illegal
a new
construction.
problem? Is it something that's come up now?
I'll tell you. Tina, if you care to listen, can I complete?
Yes.
The systems that were introduced. A. B. Illegal construction. C. About controlling the intercity transport, transit cars. Have you seen after 10 the kind of trucks that enter Delhi and what kind of pollution they are causing? Nobody is bothered. What are you doing about the automobile industry?
No, but have these trucks started coming only from yesterday night? Or have these trucks started coming only from... No, have these trucks started coming in only from July 2015? No, I'm asking you this, Tom Vadakkan. Maxwell Pereira, see, the question, sir, is today 5,000 constables and traffic police.
Anand, I traveled to your studio and hello, yes. Anand, let me answer this.
Yes, sir.
Since the Aam Aadmi government has come to power, the entry has been relaxed. And I don't know how. I traveled to your studio in Delhi and you can see the kind of jams that they create and the pollution that they do. There is no control on these diesel vehicles. And there's nothing they can do. And that's what is monitoring goes.
But if
how
the diesel vehicles are on in
illegal
Gautam Budh
construction,
Nagar,
they look the other way.
On the borders of Anand Vihar.
What about illegal construction? What about industries?
Sir, on the borders of Anand Vihar in Gautam Budh Nagar, that is Uttar
what
Pradesh.
about industries?
The Delhi government can't do much.
Anand, what about industries?
So you suggest, sir, you tell them there is more you can do.
Industries?
Sir, you tell them there is more you can do. You lead with you work with them.
We are doing it. Our team is... We are working with them. We are we are against
and
all
that's really
nature
the
of
point,
pollution.
Tom
We are
Vadakkan,
working towards
instead of just coming out here and slamming what the Aam Aadmi Party government is doing, the more progressive attitude would be to say, yes, we should all work together and do whatever it takes to curb pollution in our city, in our national capital, because the levels are absolutely alarming. And just to sum up, I'd like to go back to Maxwell Pereira. Maxwell Pereira, nobody is doubting the fact that the intention is right.
Overnight.
Yes, we want air pollution in Delhi to go down. The biggest question is, are we ready to implement this? Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the public transport? Do we have what it takes? Do we have the traffic police personnel to actually make this a reality? We'd all love it if it actually works out and air pollution levels go down. But can we?
This is the only thing that I have been hammering right from the beginning. Unless and until, I mean, we all want it, yes, but then without the infrastructure being there, without the alternatives that are, for transport are there, it can not be practical. I mean, that's all. Maybe in the time frame mentioned, definitely not possible. And maybe if there is some effort at augmenting the transportation infrastructure, putting more trains on the metro, and getting more buses, true. I mean, a beginning can be made. Definitely.
Well, to the people of Delhi and to the people at all the metropolitan cities, infrastructure will always not be there. Police personnel and personnel will always not be there. Intention perhaps will always not be there. Because there will always be paucity, sir. Something or the other will be missing, and I agree with Sanjay Hegde there. But what can be developed is a radical change in attitude of us as individuals, as people saying, yes, we want to do something, not for somebody else, but for ourselves and for the city that we live in and the air that we breathe. On that note, we're going to wind up this edition of the News Hour in terms of debate number 2. Thank you very much to all our panelists for joining us this evening.